David Kleiman is Satoshi Nakamoto. This is a follow-up to my last video on Craig Wright. But the Craig Wright versus Kleiman court case, and this is David is dead, but his brother and the Kleiman estate are suing Craig Wright for the Satoshi Bitcoins, or a settlement because they had a company together. Right, so anyways, the courts have ruled, and all of the Satoshi information came out in court. Craig Wright is not guilty of violating the business officially, but he still had to make a payout of $100 million. The courts ruled that he does not have to transfer any of the Satoshi Bitcoins, but they didn't officially have to reveal the identity of Satoshi, like as part of the verdict, but it all came out in court. And well, Craig Wright has been saying that he can't move any of these Satoshi Bitcoins because it's in the trust, the Tulip Trust, which the Tulip is his second supercomputer that he was using to work on Bitcoin and mine Bitcoin with. And yeah, it's in a trust which involves his ex-wife, and he says like this court verdict is just gonna give his ex-wife more money or something. But yeah, anyway, it came. I'm gonna go over the court stuff here. There's a bunch of testimony and a bunch of evidence that was brought out in court that shows, just look about everything about Satoshi, about the Bitcoins, about creating Bitcoin, their relationship, everything. And so yeah, let's go look at all this stuff. I'm going to go through the court case and show crazy stuff. Like, and I guess like the big black swan thing sort of came out, but people probably are not gonna really believe him until the Satoshi Bitcoins are moved. Because Craig Wright has said like Dave was a little smarter than him and split all of his Bitcoin into like 50 Bitcoin wallets, you know, and Craig said that he has a couple of really big wallets that he can't move stuff around with without everyone noticing. And then the whole trust issue with the legal thing with court and his ex-wife and all that stuff. But the real crazy thing would be, now that that court case is over, now if Craig Wright is Satoshi, he should be able to move the coins, and he said he will move the coins, and he also said that he has like hundreds of patents on the entire infrastructure of Bitcoin that are going to start coming out soon. And I've heard him talk about all the legality of anyone that's forked Bitcoin, and like BTC is not the real Bitcoin chain, like they forked it and screwed it up. And that there will be one protocol, sort of like there's one protocol for the whole internet. Like this Bitcoin protocol is a protocol that everyone is supposed to use, sort of like the internet. Anyway, this is huge news. He's been saying this stuff for several years now. Everyone says he's a fraud. They just came out in this court case and said he's not a fraud. But the court case didn't rule that he's Satoshi. But look at what came out in court. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, let's get in here. This is the davidkleiman.com website, where the other side of the court case has posted all of this testimony and evidence from the case. There's a couple like very wild ones that I want to start with, but I'll go through all of this stuff. Yeah, this whole message of like leave others to be Satoshi and like let the myth live and stuff like that. Like, okay, whatever. Unless we're getting like some kind of holiday out of this, like what is this, Santa Claus? Like I would prefer to have the truth, but there's a couple of these. This guy, Satoshi, was a team, and without the other part of the team, he died. The pseudonym died when the team died. And there's one of them in here that says that was a 3-person team that created Bitcoin. Where is that one? Let's see. Yeah, yeah, Dave was the one doing the Bitcoin mining. Let's see. Yeah, here's where he says that Dave was the one that split all his wallets up. But like the big Satoshi wallets are Craig's. And so I can't find the one that says that was 3 people, but it doesn't reveal the third person. Yeah, he's like, if he came out originally as Satoshi without Dave, it wouldn't have gone anywhere. But I mean, I've heard Craig talking about like the myth just like getting crazy, and like Dave wouldn't want to have it been revealed. Yeah, they said this in court also. Like they didn't realize how crazy big it was going to be. Where's the line that says it was 3 people? Yeah, here. Look, court testimony here. Your son Dave and I are 2 of the 3 key people behind Bitcoin. Right? So know also that Dave was a key part of an invention that will revolutionize the world. Like this is in court. And so there's 3 people, and that is another huge rabbit hole, because who's the third person if it's Dave Kleiman and Craig Wright and someone else. I don't know if he's talking about his ex-wife, because she's legally involved in the trust and things like that. I mean, maybe he's considering her to be part of the 3. But if there's another like inventor or programmer or something, who's that? And I don't know. It makes me think of like Monero, because that's the only other chain that actually has the scalable block sizes and all that, and it also has several more features related to the mining inflation and privacy. It's like those, Bitcoin SV and Monero are the 2 chains that have the scalable block sizes that are outlaid in like the white papers. But yeah, anyway, that's the thing. Like Dave, like it sounds like Dave and Craig were Satoshi. Maybe a third person was involved in there, but most of the communication that Satoshi did was Craig. But I've heard him say like Dave did a couple of communications as Satoshi as well, and I don't know which one of them came up with the name. But anyway, that's the whole Satoshi thing coming out in court. But it doesn't like officially prove it, I guess. But we'll see if the Satoshi Bitcoins start moving now. Like if they start moving now, it'll be pretty wild. But anyway, let's read through this testimony. This is pretty crazy. And also like Bitcoin SV, the different fork. Like Craig comes out a lot and says BTC is not the real fork of Bitcoin, and it's not scalable. And and he says that he has like been spending in Bitcoin like as much as he can, like the whole time, but he can't move those 2 big wallets. So anyway, this is from Eamon Kleiman. So this is a sort of like an intro to them trying to get the Satoshi Bitcoins, but they ruled that that he doesn't owe them Bitcoins, and that the trust wasn't, or the W and K company wasn't formed in time. But anyways, at trial, Craig testified that W&K has rights to cryptocurrency exchange software that works better than Coinbase, and he claimed that it was worth $100 billion US. So Craig in court says they have crypto exchange software worth $100 billion. That's better than Coinbase and Kraken. And so they were trying to get a payout relative to that, and that's what they ended up getting, like $100 million. As the court verdict, but it wasn't related to the Bitcoins. It was just related to crypto exchange software. So let me repeat, the jury heard Craig testify about the value of W&K software IP. Under oath, he said Dave's estate has rights to it, and he believes that it's worth $100 billion US. And regardless of this, the jury returned a verdict where W&K was awarded $100 million. And so this is Ian Kleiman saying, what in the world kind of verdict is that? Right? And then obviously the jury was overwhelmed, which is understandable. It's a complex case. While deliberating, they submitted the following question. How much of intellectual property does W&K currently have under the estate? And Judge Bloom was not allowed to answer the question for them. Instead, she said the jury, Instead, she told the jury something like, "The evidence has been received, and you must rely on your collective memory." So that all of that is not like unveiling Satoshi. That's just saying that they had a business agreement, and it's like, what date did this business get formed, and like what are the rights to the property of the business. But this is just relative to a crypto exchange software, and I don't know which one or if it ever happened, because Dave died a while before this case. Okay, so Judge Reinhardt awarded 50% of the Bitcoin and IP to the estate, but this ruling was overturned, so a jury could make a final decision. So that was the whole deal, is like half of the Satoshi Bitcoins were supposedly going to get deliberated and awarded as part of this case, but they ended up not awarding any Bitcoin. My takeaway is that the collective memory of 10 random people who don't have any experience with this sort of team is no match for one experienced judge who cuts through BS on a daily basis. So Ian wants half of the Satoshi Bitcoins, and that was what the point of this case was, because that's worth whatever. I mean, even if you sell them, like, you can't get the supposed like trading price if you sold millions of Bitcoins. It would absolutely crash. But yeah, anyway, the whole case was about their partnership. And so, yeah. So here's Craig Wright. I wanted to make sure that everything was totally legal and all the rest. Dave has he's got an estate who Andrew has been dealing with, and I wanted to make sure I didn't rip off the estate and just go like, haha, it's my software. I wanted to make sure everything was done legally and above board, so that Dave's heirs get this software, which was being more painful than it should be. And then Mahoney said, what's the value of the software? And then Summers, are you asking and Ray cuts them off and says, the two tots, I think they were 56 million. So they're testifying about software, not about the Bitcoins. And then this is email evidence where Craig says, I've spent the money. If you want, fight me, and you can have a copy of software that will be of little use, without the parts that we've completed since. So they're still working on it. Like, the version of the software, if they try to legally take it, is not going to be useful because they haven't finished building it. So how did it come to be that all of the assets of the trust, are they originally sourced from you and Dave, right? And David, he's like, yes, me and David. Okay, so Dave and I arranged for the sale of around 500,000 Bitcoin so that we could have access to core banking software. So in court, they are admitting that they spent 500,000 Bitcoin. I told Mark that the only way in which I would be able to finance the deal would be by paying in Bitcoin that Dave and I held. And so this is out of their joint trust wallets. And yes, the addresses are in my control now as a matter of fate and other circumstances. David Reese and David Kleiman have both been essential parts of this project. Oh, he says David Reese here, so we'll have to check that out. Dave owned 50% of a U.S. company that controlled a Belize-based trust, and I've attached a little more of what we did together. We had several DHS research programs. Nobody involved with this wants to ever, even after death, be known. The myth is more powerful. The myth is more powerful than all of us combined. I want Dave's family to know, but please understand he would not have wanted the world knowing. So Dave was definitely one of the Satoshis, according to this testimony. And it's a group. Satoshi is a group. And I don't know if it's just the two or if it includes the third person. And maybe it's Dave Reese. Maybe his ex-wife is the third person. But we'll check out that. And then, anyway, the myth is part of Dave's legacy. So that's a pretty wild thing. Like, and he said openly, like, he didn't ever want to come out as Satoshi, but people like screwed the freaking blockchain up where it's not going to work now. So he has to come out and say, like, hey, like, this is not going to be scalable, and you're missing the entire point of, you know, of the decentralization. It's not about decentralizing the miners. It's about widely publishing the hashes for security so that you can't fake the chain. But anyway, Dave and I had a project in the U.S. He ran it here. We kept what we did secret. The company he ran here mined Bitcoin. And I do not believe there has been anything of this in the estate. The amount DK mined is far too large to email. Satoshi was a team. Without the other part of the team, he died. So I've heard Craig say also that he had like hard drives of Dave's, and he doesn't have the passwords to them. And I don't know if that are hard drives with Bitcoin on them, but yeah, I actually heard him say recently that like the Kleiman estate lost the private keys to Dave's Bitcoin, and Craig may or may not have those private keys, but they're claiming he stole the Bitcoin, and so that's what Craig Wright has been saying is like, you're saying I stole the Bitcoin, but they haven't moved. Like, how could I have stolen the Bitcoin if they haven't moved? And allegedly, like, you might think I have the private keys, but nobody knows. Like, this is a big drama thing, and this is the whole court case. But the court case has now ruled, like, no, Craig Wright does not owe the Kleimans any Bitcoin. That was the ruling in the court case. So now we'll see what he does control, if he has the private keys to all of Dave's Bitcoin as well as his. Who knows? Like, they supposedly mined out like the first 16 blocks or something. The concept of a Bitcoin exchange by which smart contracts would be connected. This is an idea that I have developed with my business partner, David Kleiman, for a period over a decade. I started developing smart contracts in 2007. Dave and I worked on this for a number of years up to 2011. Dave Kleiman and I started mining in 2009. It's a shame Dave died last year before fruition, but all is moving ahead. These are emails that came out. I had Dave mine the Bitcoin overseas, and it has all cost. I had Dave mine the Bitcoin overseas, and all it has cost is sunk. I cannot miss what I never have. I have never touched the Bitcoin we created in the OS Trust, and the companies and what I care about is making something more. Yeah, and Craig has said this over and over. Like, this is about creating the whole system. I was not the person doing the mining. Dave was. So he openly says Dave mined this over and over. Dave compiled. He never just used binaries. We had worked on a number of patents together. Met Dave around 1999 first. We became friends in 2001. I started developing smart contracts 2007. Dave and I worked on this for... Oh, did I just read that? I don't know. That might have been put up here twice. But yeah, here, like, I have the files of Dave's that I cannot access now. These are TrueCrypt partitions. We held the backups for each other, but not the passwords, so I cannot access these. If I can't find keys or a password, I do not believe that I can on yours. Yeah, so there's some missing information, and I'm not sure if that's Bitcoins or if it's software or what's on there. Dave was smarter than I was in some ways. He broke his wallets into many 50 Bitcoin-sized addresses. I left several large addresses that are not as easy to move without making the world notice. Dave's estate is only worth $12 million if you want to cash out right now. But if you stay, you get the value and the shares. Leave others to be Satoshi and leave Dave not to be. So, yeah. Just like in Dave's death, like, he wanted to just have Satoshi kind of live on and not reveal Dave's position in it. And then also, yeah, again, hello, Lewis. Your son Dave and I are two of the three key people behind Bitcoin. And know also that Dave was a key part in an invention that will revolutionize the world. David Kleiman was my best friend and business partner. Dave and I had completed several papers and books and had a company together. I spent more money on the project than Dave. Dave died. That was a worse day for me because I lost a friend and a partner, and he cried on Stan during a lot of this, and I've seen him cry in an interview about it as well. Craig and I have put our entire life savings into this business, as did Dave. And so this is Dave Reese and Dave Kleiman and Craig. So yeah, I guess maybe Dave Reese is the third person. I'll have to check Dave Reese out and see what their relationship is. Is it Dr. Wright's position, Your Honor, that Dave Kleiman assisted in editing the protocol related to Bitcoin? Bitcoin is at heart a cryptographic protocol. If I'd come out originally as Satoshi without Dave, I don't think it would have gone anywhere. I've had too many conversations with people who get annoyed because it's me. And yeah, like if you follow anything that's happened to Craig after he started coming out, like everyone hates him and thinks he's fraudulent, and he's constantly trying to explain how Bitcoin works to everyone because like you guys screwed it up, you guys screwed the blocks up, like you don't understand how the privacy works, you don't understand how the public ledger is legally compliant with like British and EU and American law, and how you can like prove your assets without anyone else being able to see it, and it's not like cryptographic doesn't mean it's private, like the people are firewalled, like all of this information. He's been saying this over and over and like trying to explain how the blockchain works, and like most of the people involved with the BTC chain is just like they don't get how Bitcoin works. Like this is not going to work. It's pretty interesting listening to this and then having all this come out in court, but this is going to be a huge deal. Okay, so question: did they ask you whether you thought Dave was Satoshi? Yes. What was your response? I said yeah. So this is Bob Radvanowski. It's just like in court saying that Dave is Satoshi. And then here's from Dave to Craig. In 2012, the keys are set up in the TrueCrypt drive on the main server at this host. The backups are with these guys in both the UK and as a third in the Isle of Man. So yeah, so anyway, there's some like missing passwords to some hard drives and things like that. That all came out in court. And then yeah, 3 people created Bitcoin, and it's not clear whether 2 or 3 of them were Satoshi, but it sounds like Dave and Craig basically were Satoshi, but Craig is saying that the Satoshi myth and the Satoshi pseudonym died with Dave. With the addition of the anecdotal information we have from discussions with Dave, all point to Dave and Craig indeed being behind Bitcoin. And this is just another court evidence, like email from Kleiman and Dro. I'm convinced Craig and Dave are the co-creators of Bitcoin. So yeah, so maybe Dave Reese is the third person involved here. But anyway, that's the court case. It's ruled. And yeah, and anyways, Craig Wright says that he will start doing whatever he's going to do now that this court case is over. Like he has a ton of patents that he can come out with. He has control of a bunch of wallets that he didn't want to move. He may have control of Dave wallet, of a ton of Dave's Bitcoins now. That the court ruled he doesn't have to give any Bitcoins to the Kleiman estate. And yeah, I mean, if you start seeing Satoshi's Bitcoins moving around, the known wallets, there's a lot more wallets than the ones that, there's like about 1 million Bitcoins that people consider like the Satoshi whale wallets or whatever, and those might start moving soon, and that would be a huge deal. We'll see what happens with that. But in any case, this is the huge court case of the century on Bitcoin. This all came out in court, and now let's see what everyone says. Let's see what everyone says now that this court case is out, and then let's see what everyone starts saying when patents and everything and Bitcoin start coming out and moving around. But this is pretty crazy, and that's the update on this. And as far as the market trading right now, it looks like the Bitcoin related assets are kind of staying below their downtrend lines, and the general market is starting to push above. So I'll do some more market videos on that kind of stuff, but I would imagine that this whole situation is not going to be great for BTC, which may not legally be Bitcoin soon. Like the word Bitcoin and the BTC fork may not be the same thing soon. That's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be a crazy shocker if that starts happening. So, happy trading and good luck. Not investment or legal advice.